Okay, we're recording. Thank you so much, Patrick Deering from Brodart, for joining us today. Patrick, are you going to tell us a little bit about the McNaughton Book Leasing for Share?
Absolutely. Thanks for the opportunity, Cassandra. I definitely want to take this opportunity first to thank the customers who have already been participating with us. This program was custom created by me and Cassandra a couple of years ago now, and it's grown a little bit each year. And so really appreciate the partnership we have with the Share member libraries and hope everyone's been enjoying it and hope this is a good introduction for those interested in joining the program to understand exactly what it does. So let me go ahead and share my screen and just going to do a quick little dog and pony show about McNaughton. So, for those of you who are familiar or not familiar with McNaughton, McNaughton is a sub company of Brodart. So, Brodart has been in business for 85 years. McNaughton has been around for 75 years. It actually existed outside of Brodart, and then we bought it 75 years ago. This actually is our 75th anniversary this year. So, again, McNaughton Subscription Services, we have a number of programs that are available. I'm going to be specifically talking today about the share program that has been customized, which is a variation of the subscription program that we have for adult content. So starting off, just jump out to say again, I mentioned we already have some customers who are participating in the share program. This was a fun tool that somebody recently showed me of how to map my customers. And I thought it was kind of fun to just see. One, it always amazes me that the Illinois Heartland library system is so large. So you start mapping them around where everyone pops up on the map. But again, thank you to the member libraries who have been enjoying the program through 2024, 2025. The program I'm going to be talking about is for taking membership for the 25-26 year subscription period. And it pretty much will work the same. There's just one adjustment, and I will explain that. So going into the general basics, if you're not familiar with McNaughton, again, it's a subscription program, but what exactly does that mean and why would anyone participate in it? The biggest reason behind this, and one of the ideas that Cassandra initially had when she approached me for creating the program, was to do some automated collection development. Collection development takes time, and while in many cases that is the most quote unquote fun area that librarians enjoy participating in, the reality is, particularly depending on staffing and the library size, people don't have the time to do it. And at the end of the day, when you're doing, if you're a smaller library, you're only bringing in a small size collection, what you're going to be focusing on are just the bestsellers. And so it turns into a term that we use internally. It turns into a list of no-brainers where you just start seeing the same authors over and over again. And you say, hey, I'm just going to bring those in. And it turns in that multiple libraries in the system end up all getting the same content. And then the shared catalog that share you benefit from may not be as diverse as it could be because people are just focusing on that top cream of the crop. And so what we've created is this automated system where we will be picking the titles for you. So the way the share program works is the bestsellers are automatically shipped to you. They're chosen. They're given. The list is given to you a couple of months in advance. So if you want to share, puts them into the catalog, but so you know what you're getting. If you then place your additional orders outside of the program, and some of the customers I know I've worked with do place orders beyond the titles through this program, you'll know what you're getting, so nothing ends up getting duplicated. What's significant about our McNaughton program, which is separate and shipped separately from our Brodart program, 95% of the titles ship prior to their street date. I say prior to ship date, but it should be say street date. So you will have these at the same time that publication is announced, so the patrons that are looking for them are not waiting to get them. Again, as I mentioned, we're diversifying the collections across the share catalog. So you're still going to get bestsellers, but if your only budget only allows you to bring 5, 10, 20 titles into your library every month, we might be giving you a little bit more diversity of those bestsellers because the other titles are also covered by other libraries within your system. So you get to benefit from the share system, the shared catalog, and the interlibrary loan program that you can make sure that the entire system is supported by as wide a variety of titles as possible. The way the program itself is structured is it is effectively, quote unquote, a leasing program, a rental program, however you want to look at it. These are titles, though, that you get to keep as long as you're in the program. There is no rules of when they get shipped back. There's no rules for what you can do with them. You can interlibrary loan them. You can put them into a book club. You can do whatever you want with the titles that you receive. What we determine is we truly mean as long as you're an active customer, there's no rules about returning it. As long as they're useful to you, we want you to use it. We find it's a fairly self-cleaning collection because what will eventually end up happening is you only have room for a handful of these titles, maybe a bookshelf full, something near the checkout so that you can show the popular titles. It's going to fill up. And at some point, you're going to be putting a brand new title back on the shelf and realize, wait, this is the 26th James Patterson book that's been written this year. I can probably get rid of one of the older ones. Then that's when you start deciding what is sent back. You determine what you keep, you determine what you send back, and anything you do is something that's covered by us. Everything is fully processed. Everything is shelf ready once you receive it. All of the shipping, even when the office sends it back to us, all of those costs are incorporated. And so the biggest benefit of being in a program like this, a McNaughton subscription program, is a fixed price. You know exactly what you're spending. There are no additional costs. There are no hidden fees. There's no surprises. And the surprise just ends up being what titles do you get every month? And so how that leads you into, well, how are these titles chosen? We've got two terminologies that we use within McNaughton, Blockbuster and Auto On, and they're related. So what ends up happening is in any given month, if you are part of the traditional McNaughton program, you would be picking all of your own titles, and you'd be doing that from a list of about 150 to 200 titles per month. Far more than 200 titles get published in any given month. So we are effectively picking the cream of the crop to go onto these McNaughton lists. When we're determining the titles that go into the share program, we're using something that we consider or we call the blockbuster lists and the auto on lists. And these are titles that when an author's book comes out, we first look at how many copies did that title sell or did that author sell the last book that they released. If it sold a certain number, it's considered a blockbuster. If it's a slightly lower number, it's considered auto on. And if it goes beyond that minimum threshold for auto on, it just isn't coded at all. It still may end up on the list, but that broader list of 200 titles. But because of the way the share program is structured and the size of the packages that we're offering a customized program that you actually cannot buy from us individually. I go into this mentioning that we have large subscriptions and small subscriptions. The small subscription gives you 5 books a month. We do not sell a program like that. This is something we uniquely created with the help of Cassandra, with a partnership benefiting from a single shipment, a single location shipment. You cannot sign up for these programs outside of Share. So that's fundamental. But even with the large program, that's still only 10 titles per month. If you look at how many titles come in on Blockbuster and Auto On, we will always be beyond that 10. So that is where we're staying. Now that means you might miss a debut author or something that suddenly becomes popular through a book club. There's always that possibility. But for the most part, again, these become the quote unquote no-brainers. These are authors that all of your patrons know. They've checked out and read their books before. They're going to see advertising for them. The publishers are creating multiple hundreds of thousands of copies of the books. They're titles that you're going to want to have. If you choose to participate, you do make a choice and you can determine whether you want to be in a small subscription or a large subscription. We do not offer variations beyond that. If you were to get 2 large subscriptions, you would get 20 titles per month, but you'd probably get 2 copies of the same books. We haven't had anyone choose to do that. You never say never. If we wanted to try and customize something, I can probably work that out. But for the most part, we're doing this at the $5 title per month level and the 10 title per month level, and that's been attractive for some of the smaller libraries within the IHLS system. Now, for those who might be viewing this video that are current members, or you've talked to current members about this, I do want to explain one key difference that is actually going to change for this upcoming year. The way the program is structured, we are basing everything on its list price. And for the last couple of years, we've been using an average list price or maximum list price of $29 per month. What that ends up meaning, the way the program has been structured, is if you were in the large subscription, you would get 8 titles, a minimum of 8 titles that had a $29 or below price point, and you could get 2 titles that were higher than that. But if you're in a small subscription, you would only be able to get 1 title higher than that. The problem is the titles have been getting more and more expensive. So as we go into the looking at the list, which I'll do in a second, we started seeing where it was harder to get some of these titles in. So many cases, the more expensive books, only one copy got put into the system because each library got one book. And that is becoming a little bit too restrictive because you were missing out on multiple copies of some of the bigger titles. So we are going to change that threshold to $30 for the upcoming system for the 25-26 year. So there's a slight price increase, but it's very minimal. But there will be a slight increase, but it's going to give a much higher quality of titles. They were still good titles, but you're going to be able to see multiple copies throughout the system in some of those bigger authors. And this is what that looks like. So these were the June selections. So again, using a $29 cutoff, you can see some of the authors. All of these authors were included within the program. So we had 23 individual titles and a total of 45 copies that got provided. So you can see something like Danielle Steele and Mother's Love, 5 copies entered the system. So we made sure that there were a lot of copies saturated. There's going to be a lot of holds on that one. So you'll still be doing some interlibrary loan or keeping them for your own patrons. You do have the opportunity of getting those multiples. But some of the authors, like the Irish Johansson title, Death Mask, was more than $29. So unfortunately, only one copy of that title entered your system. So one library was lucky enough to get that one, and the other people, a lot of these where that only shows one, most likely it's because the price point was a higher price point. As we move into the July selections, which will kick in for with this new $30 threshold, I included the price right on here because now with this $30 cutoff, only 3 titles exceed that. So even some of the biggest titles like Daniel Silva, we'll still be able to get multiple copies in there because we'll still be able to offer multiple the ability of getting the more expensive titles on a limited basis, but you might be able to get a couple extra copies because there's only 3. And then uh, suddenly you have a number of titles. So all of these titles that were priced at $30, all these titles that were priced at $30 would have been the exceptions with the current fiscal or the current subscription. Those will now be considered standard. So you'll be able to get this Lisa Scottolini, Susan Wiggs. Those will all be much more readily represented as we go through the 25-26 subscription period. So those are the titles. I just wanted to give a little bit of an example between those two. And this will be the list of titles. It may not be every title on this list. We're seeing how many people end up signing up for it. It'll probably be it's typically 20 to 25 titles is what we bring into the system so that there's a nice breadth and depth across the share catalog. Okay. So as I mentioned, for the 2025-2026 subscription, you still will have the same 2 options, large subscription versus a small subscription. They still give you 5 titles versus 10 titles. The difference being the large subscription is an extra $72. So the new price for that is $2,577.60. And the small subscription is a $36 increase from last year, so it's now $1288.80. So those are the titles that you're getting. So 60 titles per year, 120 titles per year, and again, keeping the titles for as long as you want. And that was pretty much what I needed to cover. So if you have questions, this is my information slide. You can email me directly. Of course, you have access to Cassandra, and she will send any questions my way. And happy to help address anything or clarify anything that you might for whether this program will work for you. But I hope this summary helps explain it, and I hope we see some new libraries joining into the SHARE program. So thank you so much for your time, and let me know if you have any questions.
Well, thank you so much, Patrick. I really appreciate you taking the time to go over the program and kind of share all of the great benefits that people will receive as being a share member and being able to access McNaughton for something that would typically be out of reach for some of our smaller libraries. So thank you
I hope
very
so as
much.
well. All right. Thanks
Thank
for the
you.
opportunity. We'll talk to you all
Thanks,
later.
Patrick.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.